All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for attending another Workshop Wednesday. I am Jennifer Slattery with the League of Cities and Towns, and today we have a guest with us from Service Master by Mason, Beth Markowski-Roop, and she's here to talk to us today about hoarding, the hidden disorder. And I know a lot of our cities and towns face challenges with this issue and the role of everything from quality of life to safety to other things. So I'm sure we'll hear a lot get a lot of good information here from Beth. So thanks for being with us, Beth.
Thanks for having me, and thank you everyone for taking some time this morning to talk about, this very serious disorder, that just continues to grow and affect our communities in so many ways. As she mentioned, my name is Beth Markowski-Roop. I'm with Service Master by Mason. We have been providing hoarding cleanup and decluttering services for over 30 years, all throughout our state. There is not a town in Rhode Island that we have not provided this service for. And continue to do, and also in Connecticut as well. We have an office there as well. And it's just become more and more challenging. There are tens of millions of Americans who are suffering from the hoarding disorder. And, this is a recognized mental illness. And as we all know, there's more and more attention right now on mental illnesses in our country. This illness is not just affecting the hoarder in their home, it is affecting families, it is affecting neighborhoods, it is affecting communities in so many different ways. And as so many increased their online shopping during the pandemic, and limited their interaction with therapists, limited their interaction with social service agencies, maybe not able to come to their door during this time, there was a new generation of hoarders was created. And someone that was a low level hoarder, a level 1, level 2, kind of going into the pandemic, came out of it a level 4 or a level 5, as bad as it gets. And I'm going to explain all of that here today. There's so many misconceptions about the disorder, which is really why we are very happy to be here today and provide some details. I'm going to provide a lot of information to you over the next hour. I know that the session's being recorded, so you can always go back and listen to that. I'll give you my contact information, and please don't hesitate to put any questions that you have in the chat. I will make certain to get to all of those here today. So here we go. Okay, so a couple of things we're just going to quickly talk about here today. I'm going to provide you with an overview of hoarding, really just a definition of it, and market size. And by market size, it means how bad a situation it is and how bad a situation is in your community. Hoard profile and scales. There are many different profiles and scales of hoarders, different types of hoarders, whether they're an information hoarder or whether they are a do-it-yourself hoarder or an animal collector. I'm going to go through all of that here today so you understand what is going on inside the homes that are, again, in your town. Also, great tips for interacting with hoarders, what to expect. There are many health and safety concerns, and many towns are limiting interaction with first responders, telling first responders not to go in the home. It is not safe for you in there. And that creates a lot of challenges as well. There's also do's and don'ts when you are interacting with hoarders. I'm going to go through all of that here today and share some helpful information for you. And also, there are many resources that are out there. I know that the state has a wonderful site and page for people with the disorder, but there's other organizations and resources too. So we're going to share all of that here today with you. Okay, so this is more than just a space that needs to be cleaned up. It's really important to understand this is not just a messy or lazy person that just simply needs to clean up their home. This is a psychological disorder that these people are dealing with. And in many cases, there is a high risk of structural damage. So we're not just walking into a messy home, but in some circumstances, the structural damage is so bad that the home has been condemned and they're not allowed to go inside. It's actually what's called caving. We've all heard the expression, I'm so full, I'm bursting at the seams. That's exactly what is happening to these homes. They have thousands and thousands of pounds inside. It's compressed, it's pressing against their structure of their home, and it's literally splitting it open at the beams and at the seams of the home. So it's called a caving situation. The town would condemn this. Building inspector would condemn this. They would not be allowed to go inside. However, a hoarder is not going to leave their hoard. They are going to stay outside this home in a car, in a tent, in a shed, and they're going to sneak back into this home as often as they can, regardless of the structural damage. How hoarding is affecting the communities there. Well, first you have blight concerns. You have, infestations of not just animals, but of insects, of rodents. There are obviously some strong odor concerns that can exist. You have the caving and structural issues as well. You also have real estate and property management affected. The value of a home, of a hoarder home, can drop by as much as 25%, not just their home, but the homes around it in that neighborhood. Their value also drops as well. So again, that's a big concern right now. Property management as well. In many cases, there's a yearly check for safety. Now you have entrances and exits blocked. You have an infestation within that apartment or condo, doesn't stay within that apartment or condo. Mold in that one apartment doesn't stop at just their four walls. It goes into other apartments, affects other building, other structures, other people's health and safety as well. So it's always a concern for many reasons for property management and real estate in your community. Also, landfill and waste management. You have to realize that in some of these homes, we can very easily take out 10 to 15,000 pounds plus in one time. And the landfills are not equipped for that. In many cases, it costs $75 for us to bring a mattress, to a landfill. And in many cases, there could be as many as 5 or 10 mattresses plus, in these homes. So there's a lot of concerns with thousands of pounds of unrecyclable items, chemical waste, and other concerns in these piles being brought to landfills, again, in one shot and over again. It also affects insurance agencies. Many insurance companies, as we all know, are doing drone checks. One of the things that they're doing drone checks for, we've all heard they're looking for trees, they're looking for roof issues. They are also looking for hoarding issues and blight concerns. And one of the things that many of the carriers are doing right now is dropping their clients when they show signs of hoarding. If there is a claim in a house and hoarding is revealed, they had a water loss, they had a fire, they had mold concerns that they did an insurance claim from, and they are also a severe hoarder. When it comes time for renewal, insurance agencies are choosing not to renew, these clients as well. So again, they're left with very limited options. It will also add thousands of dollars to a claim cost, having to deal with this excessive content to get to the area that had the water loss, the fire, the mold, the biohazard spill, to be able to mitigate and remediate those concerns. Also, social workers, more resources are needed. As we all know, they're taxed, and they are very challenged when dealing with hoarding clients. It takes more time, it takes more effort, and again, it is a mental disorder. Mental health resources as well. Again, there are more and more concerns and awareness around mental health right now in our state and our nation, which is wonderful. It's out there, it's in the open, but at the same time, there's more resources needed. And again, this is a recognized disorder. Usually someone who is among the hoarding, having the hoarding disorder, if they are not getting long-term mental health treatment, the success rate is less than 10%, which means they're going to fill up that home again and again and again and not break the cycle. One of the first things that we connect our hoarding clients to and their families to are mental health resources that are out there, but it's also specific for the hoarding disorder. It can't just be someone that hasn't dealt with hoarding clients before. A lot of times if it's someone that deals with OCD, a mental health specialist that deals with trauma, those are also ones that can be very helpful with someone with a hoarding disorder. First responders, again, major health and safety concerns. Also, there's a lot of trips and fall concerns for first responders going into these homes. So if someone is recovering from injuries in these homes, it's very hard for them to be out there serving the public's needs. Many first responders in some towns are being told not to go in. We've come across that in Connecticut. There was a home that was on fire. It was a small kitchen fire and it spread because of the hoarding in the home. They were very fortunate in being able to break down a window to get themselves out when they became trapped inside, and they were able to literally throw the homeowner out the window as well. And there were injuries to both of the first responder firemen who responded, and there were injuries both to the homeowners because of that, but they weren't able to get the hose out. The hose was stuck. They weren't able to save the home. It should have been a simple kitchen fire. It was a total loss. So again, there's a lot of concerns for our first responders being able to get in, being able to be in the safely, and being able to do what they need to do to assist that homeowner. So there's a lot of collaboration that is needed. Okay, so hoarding definition and size. So again, you may not think that this is something that really affects your community. You may think it's irrelevant to you, but we're really going to familiarize you with the disorder today, and how big a problem it is out there and what the problem is. Okay, so what is hoarding? Well, thank you for asking. So, hoarding is a mental disorder that is marked by an obsessive desire to acquire and overaccumulate a significant amount of possessions that have very little value. Everything is coming in, very little is going out. It is usually triggered by a traumatic life event, such as grief, the loss of a child, the loss of a spouse, the loss of a parent or loved one, divorce, abuse. And this isn't someone that just got spanked as a child and now this is their trigger. This is someone that has gone through significant sexual or physical abuse, and simply a lack of control. There are shopaholics, that are out there. Each situation will range both in its intensity, one room versus the entire house, for example, and type. They're a collector of newspapers, which is an information hoarder. They are rescuing animals, an animal hoarder. They're shopping in excessive bulk. The list goes on, and I'm going to give you details about all that here today. It's also very important to understand that hoarding is a compulsion. This is not an addiction. People will say it's the same as if someone was an alcoholic. It is not. And again, that's why the treatment is so different when it comes to the mental health. There is a difference as well. We're frequently asked, well, what's the difference between hoarding and collecting? Because I've got a lot of items in my home and I love to collect art, or I collect records. And I have a whole room that is dedicated to just that collection. And that's okay. When it's something that you do with your family, it's something that is part of a tradition, for example, that is collecting. When you are collecting means that you can still move through your house freely. You are not inhibited by where you can walk, where you can eat, where you can bathe, being able to move freely and safely in your home by some items that you collect. When you hoard, the hoard becomes your family. You have all of this stuff around you in a cocoon, and you say, if I have all of this stuff with me, and if I don't take it away, nothing will hurt me again. So when you have to get the latest album that comes out, the latest piece of art over and over and over again, and it's piled up in your home in a way that affects where you can eat, where you can bathe, where you can walk freely through your home, that is crossing into hoarding. So there are differences between collecting and hoarding. Many hoarder clients that we deal with will tell us they're simply collectors, but we can see clearly that they've crossed that line. So a hoarder's collection, it is their family. It's not going to yell at them. It's not going to leave them. It's not going to hurt them or go away. And it's bringing them happiness every day. But that happiness is short-lived. So they need more, and they need more and more again. It's never about the stuff. It's what the stuff represents, and it's about what the stuff represents to them. And usually it's something that relates to their trigger. Okay, so why do people hoard? Well, again, there's always that trigger. These are not lazy or crazy people. There's a horrible misconception, especially if you look online, that it's just a crazy cat lady that lives with 100 cats. Could that be a hoarder? Absolutely. Is that your average hoarder? It is not. They are good people. They're simply just looking for self-worth and happiness, and having items and more of them is providing that. And it's usually providing self-worth and happiness so they don't have to deal with the trauma that was their trigger. They've never dealt with the 5 stages of grief if their trigger was the loss of a loved one. So every single day of their life, they're literally living that day as though it is the very first day of hearing the news of the loss of that loved one. Imagine if you're living with that much grief and sadness every single day of your life. And that's what they're living with. So again, they've never gone through 5 stages of grief. They're simply just looking for more self-worth and happiness. Grief is ugly and messy, and they're just putting it on display. And how do you judge someone for how they handle grief? And that's why the rule of thumb when you're working with someone with a disorder is compassion always, no judgment ever. Also, again, this goes back to the misconception about who is hoarding. It's more women than men. Hoarding can start as young as the age of 16, and sometimes even younger. The average age is 50. Again, more women than men. They are college educated. These are people with 4-year degree plus. They are CPAs, they are teachers, they are doctors, they are lawyers, they are healthcare professionals, believe it or not. These are professionals out there with disposable income to keep feeding that compulsion. So again, it's just a crazy cat lady that lives in a trailer with 100 cats. That's not your average hoarder. So who is hoarding? Well, you have people that went through the Great Depression, and they would hoarder items that could have value or be repurposed or traded: twine, newspaper, mason jars, candles. They would hide money. There is not a Depression era hoarder that we have dealt with that didn't have money, hidden within the pile, hidden in their couch, and hidden in the mattress. You always have to cut it open. They also passed the habits down to their children. So the next generation that came after them also easily developed some of those hoarding habits because they heard the stories or they grew up knowing that I didn't have food on my plate. So now I'm going to hoard food. I'm going to hoard money. I'm going to hoard all these other items, that brings them back to the trigger and trauma of their childhood. So again, people that went through the Great Depression and they passed those habits on to their children. You also have baby boomers, right? They're downsizing for maybe the first time or the last time. There's also the largest, shift of wealth, in our nation's history because of that. Boomers that are downsizing, we have 10,000 boomers that are turning 60 every single day in our country now for the next 20 years. That's a lot of downsizing. And unfortunately, what's happening is we have gone into, I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm just going to put it into storage. And there is a direct correlation from the wonderful storage facilities that are popping up in our towns and the hoarding disorder and the need of feeding the hoarding disorder. What people are doing is they're not getting rid of the items in their home. They're saying, of course, my kids and my grandkids are going to want all of these items in my home that are rusted and not of value anymore. And of course, they're going to want all this old jewelry and all these old clothes and all these old magazines from the 1950s, even though they don't know who's in them. So I'm going to save them and I'm going to put them in storage versus having the family come over with boxes one day and say, okay, family members, take everything that you want because I'm moving and downsizing, and anything left that homeowner knows they can then get rid of, whether it's disposing it, recycling it, or donating it to many other organizations that are out there. Unfortunately, that's not happening. They're just simply putting it all in storage, saying my family's going to want it. And now they're passing hoarding habits to another generation in their family. You also have people that are cured with, retail therapy, if you will. They are shopaholics, and they will go out there and just shop and shop and shop. Also, the next generation of hoarders, the fastest growing group of hoarders right now in our country are millennials. Believe it or not, it's millennials. And they're hoarding larger items. When we were little, we collected a box of baseball cards and you could fit 10,000 of them inside a shoebox. And now it's hoarding electronics. It's hoarding, video games. The next one comes out every 6 months and you have to keep that. They're so tech savvy. Look, I've got to keep all my old electronics because if something breaks on the new, I can just fix it with parts from the old. Also, we got out of the habit of having tag sales. When we were young, our parents, you spring cleaned, you fall cleaned, and you purged, and you had a tag sale once or twice a year. We are not doing that. Our residents are not doing that in our communities. And because of that, our kids are growing up not realizing that stuff comes in and it must go out again, and that should be done each year. So again, we've got to get our kids back into the habits of that. Also, another fast growing group right now of hoarders, which is a huge concern for the municipalities, are preppers. And these are people who truly believe that the zombie apocalypse or World War III is just a day away. And they're preparing for it. And they are not only hoarding different types of food and medicine. They're also hoarding guns, ammunition, propane. This is not a safe home. And it's a challenge for mental health professionals to start that conversation with them because, again, it's not a great conversation to go in and say, hey, I'm here to talk about taking all your guns away today. So again, there's a lot of challenges when it comes to prepper hoarders as well. And even some of the mental health experts are having challenges and getting successes with this group as well. Okay, so hoard profiles and stages. Let me go through some of the profiles of a hoard and kind of walking into the home of a hoarder as well. They can look many different ways. So we're going to run through some of the hoard profiles here today. I mentioned animal hoarders. So they're animal of choice. is cats. Cats are very independent. Cats just need a litter box. They need some food. They come, they purr on your lap, and then they go away. And then they come back and they purr again and give you that love and then go away. They don't have to walk them like a dog. There's not a lot of responsibilities there. So they used to tends to be cats. The other animal of choice are rats. And these are tame rats. Because again, they're very smart and they'll sit on your shoulder and eat out of your hand, and then they'll go away, and then they'll come back again, and then they'll go away. So, you don't just want to have one cat and one rat if you're a hoarder, because again, that's not giving you enough love and that wonderful feeling. So you want two, you want three, you want five, you want 10. And then you have cats and rats doing what cats and rats will naturally do. And what started as 3 or 4 or 5 tame cats or rats has now spiraled out of control. And when you have these situations of animal hoarders, you also have what I call the circle of life, because cats and rats are a food source for something else. They also can bring in fleas, they can bring in ticks, they can bring in, other, concerns like that, and other vermin. So now you have the circle of life going on in these homes as well. Other animals trying to get in or out to use these animals as a food source. There are information hoarders. There will be stacks of newspapers, stacks of TV guides. And you say, well, how come you can't get rid of these newspapers here? Why don't we recycle these for you? Oh, no. Every Thursday, they've got that amazing recipe in it. And I'm going to take time and cut out those recipes. I definitely want to do baking. That's going to be my new thing for me. So, I can't get rid of these newspapers until I cut out all those recipes. Are they ever going to bake those items? No. Are they ever going to cut out those recipes? No. I have stacks of TV guides. Why can't we recycle those for you? Well, I love the crossword puzzle that's in those TV guides, and I can't get rid of the next one because then they have the answers. So until I do the crossword puzzle, I can't get rid of the next one as well. Are they ever going to do these crossword puzzles? No. This again is just an information hoarder. Shopaholics. I always say, unfortunately, with Amazon and QVC, it has only created a more rise of hoarders. They're able to shop in secret. Before, if you had more and more boxes delivered to your home regularly, it was a red flag. Now it's delivered all day long. Do-it-yourselfers. I need a new deck and I don't need to hire a contractor. I can do it myself. I'm going to go down to Lowe's or Home Depot or the hardware store. I'm going to buy the wood I need, the tools I need, and I'm just going to do it myself. Well, it's springtime. You know what? It was a little rainy. I'm going to wait till summer. Summer comes. I'm concerned about some of this wood. I don't think I've got all the tools I need. I definitely need more. Need more nails, need more screws, need more everything else. Summer was too hot. Didn't get around to building it. I'll do it in fall. Fall comes, I definitely need more wood. I don't like this drill. I need a different drill. It's just going to go on and on and on. Is this person ever going to build this deck? No. Is the pile and tools and wood going to get larger and larger? Absolutely. This is a do-it-yourselfer hoarder. A memory keeper. This is someone that will have every item that their child made, including when we were 5 years old and traced our hand and made it a turkey. They've got everything, all these memories. Unfortunately, usually when they are a memory hoarder, it's usually their trigger was the loss of that loved one that they're keeping those memories for. So it's always a challenging situation to get them to be able to let go and get rid of some of those items. A collector hoarder. I have a very dear friend of mine. She's been a friend of mine for 30 years, and she's a level 4 hoarder. I have desperately been trying to get her the help that she needs. And unfortunately, her trigger was she lost her mom when she was 13 years old. Her father and brother raised her. They are also hoarders as well, and the three of them enable each other. And whenever I get her so close to therapy, the rest of the family pulls her back. She is a collector hoarder. She had to have a Yankee candle every cent. The moment it came out, had to buy the new one. Does she burn any candles? No. Does she give them away? No. Then it was a bottle of wine from a winery in all 50 states. She doesn't even drink wine. You could go to her house with cheese and crackers and have the best party ever. And then it went on to the next, to the next, to the next. It's simply a collector hoarder. Food savers. Again, many people who are collecting food are people who went through the Great Depression, had little food growing up, passed the habits on to their children. If you challenge a food saver hoarder and say, look, this food expired 6 years ago. You can't eat this. You need to throw this away. That is the worst thing for you to say, because what will happen is that hoarder right in front of you will prove you wrong. They will open up that can and they will eat it right there, even though it's green and moldy and shouldn't be eaten by anyone. So again, food saver hoarders tend to have these items. They will save them for years and years past their expiration date. Challenging them is not the answer. They are very philanthropic. They want others to see the beauty as they do in the items that they have. So when you're dealing with a food saver hoarder, your best bet is to say, you know what, our food pantry here in town is has such a need right now. Would you be willing to donate just one box of these items to that pantry? And I will bring it there personally for you. Are you going to bring it there? No. Are you going to throw it away? Yes. But again, this is getting them in the habit of starting to let go of these items that are not safe and are health concerns being in their home. A clothes hoarder. We had one client years ago. They were high level executives and they were clothes hoarders and they never wore the same outfit twice. They would go after work to the mall, to Macy's, to Nordstrom's, to Talbot's, and they would buy a new outfit for the very next day, go home, put the clothes on top of the pile. The pile was stacked from floor to ceiling all throughout their home. The challenge is that these are items that will break down over time. So these items then can bring in insects. These items can create mold situations, the harmful bacteria. The list goes on and on. Trash. Again, you will have hoarders that will simply collect trash. They just don't need to see the need to get rid of the trash every week. Again, everything is coming in, very little is going out. It will just become part of the pile. We have seen everything from older hoarding clients that just stack their dirty diapers from floor to ceiling in a room, if you will. We have also seen trash hoarders display it very neatly. We had one who was a trash hoarder, and because he had no working bathroom and kitchen because of limited access because of his hoard, he would go to McDonald's 3 times a day. And he would come home and eat his food, and then he would wash the wrappers, and he had them stacked all nice and neat from floor to ceiling. They were completely clean, but again, it was trash. And also baby items. Again, when you have baby items that are collected over and over again at home, their trigger is usually related to that. It's usually the loss of a child. And it's a very challenging situation to be able to convince our hoarding clients in this case to let go. Okay. Not seeing if there's any questions that have been put up so far. So let's continue moving on. Again, any questions you have, put them in the chat. We will certainly get to them here today. Okay, so there are 5 stages of hoarding, and I'm going to go through what those stages are and then show you some photos as well to help put it into context. So stage 1, the house is pretty normal looking. You know, there's a few piles here and there, but it's the habits that are the problem. Again, it's not about the stuff. It's about the habits, about what the stuff means to them and why they're starting to collect it. In their mind, there's minor anxiety. They realize the house is a little messy and they're planning on cleaning it up and correcting the situation. Stage 2, storage room is pretty full. The pet spills in the litter box. Why? And also the dog is starting to have some issues trying to get in and out of that dog door because it's becoming blocked. In the mind, the homeowner is aware, they are embarrassed, and they are justifying their inaction. You know what? I couldn't clean up this week. My kids had so much going on with school. I had things going on with work. Then there was after hours this, after hours appointment that. I'm going to do it this weekend. Well, you follow up with them in the next week. Did you clean up over the weekend? Well, you know, we had all these errands to run. I forgot my little kid had a birthday party to go to, so I had to deal with that. So we're going to clean up this week. It's going to go on and on and on. They're going to keep justifying their inaction. Stage 3, the home, entire rooms are now becoming inaccessible. The pets are using the bathroom inside. Why? Because the litter box is buried. They can't get to it. The dog door is blocked. They can't get in or out. In their mind, their performance at work is suffering. The hoarder is sacrificing bathing and eating because of accessibility to a working kitchen or bathroom. The family is realizing something is up and trying to intervene. But once you start crossing into stage 4, stage 5, it is extremely difficult to do that. Stage 4, all but one room is full and the hoarder is living in what is called a cockpit. And I'll show you a photo in a moment. It will literally look like the cockpit of a plane. This is where they do everything. This is where they sleep. This is where they eat. This is where they bathe. This is where, we do things in multiple rooms of our house every day. It's all confined to this space. It's usually 6 by 6 in size. It's usually around a couch or a table. And this is their entire accessibility in their home. Um, there's obviously some structural damage and issues in the homes as well. Fire hazard, electrical concerns, chemical spills is going on in the home too. And in their mind, the hoarder is fully withdrawn. They are depressed. They are not following basic societal rules, including paying bills on time or bathing regularly. The family is seriously concerned and trying to intervene. And stage 5 is as bad as it gets. Their home, the house is completely full. It is no longer safe. Again, a hoarder will not leave their hoarding and their hoarding home. They will be outside in a tent, in a shed. They could be living outside in a car, and they will sneak inside as frequently as they can. In their mind, their entire day will revolve around menial tasks, like trying to get food, have a room or place to go to the bathroom, trying to find one item in their home that usually relates to what their trigger was. Often they are in complete isolation from the world, with the exception of social services. So here's a picture of stage 1. You say, hey, this is a lot cleaner than my garage. What does it say about me? So again, we need to talk. So again, stage 1, this isn't about how it looks. This is about the habits here, right? So you have things being stashed in boxes, piled up, right? Things are just being neatly stashed in boxes and piled up. You have one row of it. You have a second row of it. You have a third row of it. Again, everything is in its place in boxes and piled up. What do you see in this picture? Not in boxes and left out in the middle of the room. You see the kids' toys and the kids' bikes. This is the centerpiece. Every hoarder, whatever their trigger is, it is always on display in every room of their home. You have to look beyond the shock and awe, because if you truly look beyond that, every room tells a story about what they're hoarding and why. And this person's trigger was the loss of a child. Here their stuff is prominently displayed in the center of the room, and everything is starting to go up around it. And that's what's happening here. Again, this is just starting, but it is starting. Stage 2. Stage 2 is where the, kind of a junk drawer becomes a junk home. And this is what is called the cockpit right here. You can see this small space all around her couch. Everything is being built up and piled up around it. And this is where she eats. This is where she bathes. This is where she sleeps. This is where her entertainment and TV is. Her medication is here. Again, everything that we do in multiple rooms of our home every single day, this is her one space. This is her cockpit in her home. It will start off as a minor mess. It will be ignored, and it will slowly start to grow until it's too much to deal with. Stage 3, you will have now rooms that are inaccessible, rooms that are non-working, like this kitchen. The kitchen's much worse when you see the rest of the photo. This is just a quick snapshot, again, why this is accessible in a dangerous space. They have open food here on the counter right next to a bottle of Ajax, which is pure poison. They have food being stored down here right next to a bottle of bleach, which is open. They also have their stove and a bottle of Pam on it. If they turned on that stove, that bottle explodes. Now it's ignited their kitchen and their home. When you are in your home, and October is National Fire Safety Awareness Month, so I'll give you a little stat. You have 5 minutes to get out, really 3 minutes safely, until the fumes of all the plastic and the toxins in our home are too harsh for us to be able to breathe. And can be absolutely detrimental to us, to being able to escape. A hoarder home, it's 3 minutes down to 1. So again, imagine your fire alarm just goes off, your house is filled, you have 2 minutes, 1 minute really, to get out. It's not possible. So again, that's why there are so many health and safety factors when it comes to these homes. Stage 4, there's major structural damage here in multiple areas of the house. The house is going to have unrepaired water damage. It could have mold, sagging floors, the sagging ceilings. So this is a dangerous house and space. And you can see this room is completely inaccessible. We had one hoarding client that we worked with, and we started to work in their house. We knew what their trigger was, and it related to a room that was in the upstairs of their home, the loss of a loved one. So that's the last room we were going to get to. But we had to first get into the house, so we had to deal with a mud room and clearing that out, and then the next room was the kitchen and clearing that out. And as we started getting down and down and down with the pile each day, our technicians were saying, you know what? I think there's some structural damage to the floors. They seem a bit squishy. Tomorrow we should be able to get down to the bottom of it, see what's going on, and we'll definitely put some plywood and other things down because there's some concerns here. When we got down to the floors the next day, and at one point this homeowner had beautiful hardwood floors throughout her entire home, the floors were gone. There were no floors. We were walking on the trash that was in the basement, also stacked from floor to ceiling. Do you know how many years it takes for that much pressure and toxins and mold and bacteria to eat away hardwood floors? This had been going on for many years in the home. But again, now you have no floors in rooms of her home, major structural damage and concerns. Stage 5, again, as bad as it gets, completely inaccessible. You have rooms completely filled. These are just some examples of what we've seen. This is a kitchen in the center here, completely inaccessible. Another one of a kitchen, inaccessible. Rooms in the home, once you clear away, you can see what's left behind. This is all mold. This is not wallpaper. This is all mold, not wallpaper in your bottom 2 photos. Infestation of spiders. You have now beams in this photo that you can see that are eaten away. You have walls and drywall eaten away, the floors eaten away. There's major structural concerns in these homes. Okay, so what types of hoards and what to expect? So when you enter the house of a hoarder, you're definitely going to be able to identify now the different profiles that you're seeing in the home. So I really want to go through some of the types of hoards, which really can lead to just dangerous situations and how you're going to proceed with caution. Okay, so one of the situations that you'll see in the home is called a volcano. It will literally look like things being stacked in a pyramid. And they're doing this for a reason. Believe it or not, this is actually a low-level hoarder. They're doing this for a reason so they can walk around it. So they still have accessibility in and around the piles in these homes. So they're stacked up in a way so they can still access the home. This is actually still a low-grade hoarder. You also have reverse volcano being done the same way. What this hoarder did is they left a pathway right in the middle of this home to be able to continue accessing this room, walking in and out. You can see that the curtains are drawn. They don't want anyone seeing inside the situation in the home, but this actually still is a low-level hoarder and someone who is willing to get the mental help that they need to rectify the situation. They still want to be part of the outside world. Unfortunately, when you see a Red Sea, it's extremely dangerous. It's really a home that you should not go into. We've all heard the situation, the saying, of parting of the Red Sea. That's exactly what is happening in these homes. When you walk in, it looks like a mouse maze. There is a path going in and out, and everything is stacked up from floor to ceiling around it. One wrong move. You walk around this little path and you hit your elbow and you have thousands, hundreds to thousands of pounds of items coming down on top of you. This is an extremely dangerous space in the home when you have a Red Sea situation. Also a rolling hill. It's someone that's just going to throw things up and throw things up. And as they trickle down and land, that's where they land. So again, it's not necessarily a safe space. It's very much kind of a mishmash of items in the house, very difficult to get around, a lot of slips and falls, a lot of liability concerns. And then you have caving, again, as bad as it gets. This is where the house is literally bursting at the seams because of the thousands of pounds that are putting pressure onto your building materials inside. So again, this is a mental disorder, and the debris and both what it is and kind of how it's displayed in the home, it's really giving us a better idea of what the hoarder is doing and also how we can help them. Again, it's never about the stuff. It's about what the stuff represents to them. And you have to look beyond the photo and see what their trigger is to get them the help they need. There's a lot of different emotions that they are going to go through as well. We encounter them all working with our hoarding clients. And when you're working with hoarding clients, you're going to go through it as well. And you might be dealing with just a difficult homeowner, on the phone one day, and they're going through a lot of this, emotions with you. It could be you're talking to a hoarder and you didn't know it. The first thing is fear of being found out, fear of their stuff being told that has to go away. They're also going to have anxiety over that as well. There's a lot of mild self-belief going on. There's a lot of doubt. Doubt that the situation is bad as you're telling them, doubt that they need to clean it up. Again, doubt to trust you. There's also excitement. They're very confident and overconfident about the items in their home. I have all these beautiful things in my home. You wish you had beautiful things like this. You wish you had as many lamps as I did, or collectible records as I did. So again, there's a lot of excitement and pride in what they have and how they display it. There's also a lot of exhaustion as well. Again, if this is someone that doesn't have access to a working bathroom, a working kitchen, access to their bed, they're sleeping in the cockpit on a couch and a chair on top of a table. This is not someone getting 6 or 8 hours sleep a night. This is not someone in a safe and healthy space. And they're exhausted, not just mentally and emotionally, but physically as well. And they're exhausted all the time. Other emotions that we're dealing with as well. There's all different types of behaviors too that they're going to exhibit during a loss when we are at their home, or for cleaning situations when we're at their home. So you really need to be prepared for some of these to occur. The first thing is avoiding and running away. I have literally seen, I was at on site for one of the episodes of the TV show Hoarders that was being filmed in New England. Service Master had a partnership program with Matt Paxton from the TV show for many, many years. And the hoarder homeowner at one point hit a wall during the process and literally ran across the street and hid behind a telephone pole. We could clearly see him, but he needed to just decompress there. And we had to let him do that before he was willing to come back, and we were able to start engaging again in the process. Fixation, crying theft, blaming. They're going to have a lot of blame for you. How come you didn't give me the help I needed earlier? How come my family didn't help me? How come this? How come that? I do this because of the issues I had as a child, the trauma, the loss of a loved one. You're not being sympathetic to that. There's a lot of blame that you're going to hear. Also, they are going to become fixated on one item in the home, and they're going to try to stop the cleanup process as a result of that. They're also going to cry theft and say, you know what? You stole from me. You took my mother's ring. So that's it. You're out of here. You have a social service agency. That social service, agent that you sent to me, she took from me. She stole something when she was at my house last time. So you can't send social services to my house anymore. You can't have a therapist come to my house anymore. It's your fault that they stole from me. Did anyone steal anything? No. But when you cry foul and cry theft at someone, and you're accusing someone of stealing from you, we get offended by that. That's a pretty tough accusation for us to swallow. So we get angry at that and saying, you know what? I throw up my hands. I'm done helping you. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you angry so you will go away and the process stops. So whenever they cry theft, what the experts recommend you do, or they become fixated on one item, again, what the experts recommend that you do is, again, show them that you're there on their side. What I will say when I'm working with our hoarding clients is, okay, the ring is missing. Where's the last room that you saw the ring in? Oh, it was upstairs in the upstairs bedroom. You and I are going to go search for that ring in that bedroom today, even if it takes us all day. And I'm going to have our technicians, they're going to keep cleaning down here. And they're going to look for that ring down here too, but they're going to keep cleaning for you. You and I are going to go look in that room. Are we ever going to uncover that ring? No. Was the ring stolen? No. Again, this is just the blame game and crying foul to get you to stop the process. They're going to be rude. They're going to blow up at you. I have had hoarders this close to my face screaming at me at the top of my lungs. You cannot engage. You have to stay stone-faced. Again, compassion always, no judgment. This is a person in pain, and they're trying to make you stop. They're not dealing with their pain. So what the experts recommend and what works is you say, you know what? There's no need to yell. I'm on your side. I respect you. You respect me. Let's keep moving forward. And that's what you say. So believe me, it works. I've said it to hundreds, if not thousands of hoarding clients over 15 years. So again, I respect you. You respect me. No need to yell. I'm on your side. Let's keep moving forward. How do we do that? So again, just find a pathway to keep moving forward. Don't get defensive. Acknowledge that, they are, you have to acknowledge their concern, and respect that and show respect for that. Don't accept responsibility. Don't apologize. They're waiting for you to say 2 words. It's okay. Because we tend to say that when we are sympathetic for someone. And whenever we hear the words, it's okay, it means something different to us than it does to them. It means that the process can stop. You told them it can stop. It's okay. So again, you want to be sympathetic, you want to be compassionate, but not apologize. Magic words they're searching for. The rudeness, you have to cut it off, show respect. I'm on your side. Let's keep moving forward. So in the hoarder's mind, they're going through a lot. There's that traumatic trigger. They've had years of analyzing or avoiding the situation at hand. They have a lack of social abilities. They're not out there socializing every day. There's financial stress because, again, bills aren't being paid on time. Bills have become part of the hoarding pile. They can't even find them anymore. There's sleep deprivation. There's a lot of current health concerns. There's always mold, bacteria, other harmful concerns in these homes. And unfortunately, there's a lot of respiratory health concerns, heart concerns with hoarding clients as well. New stress, usually what caused them needing help to begin with. This is also someone new coming into their life, you coming into their life, telling them that they have to clean up their home or else. So again, blight concerns. What we see blight, they see beautiful items around their home. So again, there's a lot of stress about this as well, and how we phrase things to them and how they're processing it. There's a lot of fear about all of this going away, someone new coming into their lives. We are stranger danger, and there's just complete mental violence, and no wonder they are exhausted all the time. We only see the outer struggle. We cannot see the inner struggle that they are dealing with. So it's so essential that any potential frontline individual who is working with someone who is a hoarder, that they are cautious, that they are careful, and that they are understanding. Again, compassion, always no judgment. They have to be compassionate and understanding of the fact that this is a hurting person who just needs help. They might not even be recognizing it. Okay, so some safety concerns and also some do's and don'ts. I want to go through them just to make you aware. Again, there's a lot of safety hazards in every hoarding scenario. You're going to have human and animal waste. You're going to have microbial contamination, mold growth, bacteria. You're going to have chemical waste and spills. You're going to have diabetic needles, sharps, cigarettes, all these other items with chemicals in it disposed of in the pile. It's not what you can see that is really the safety concern. It's really what you can't see. This pile does just, it's just a little mess, doesn't look that bad. This is all diabetic needles. This is all animal waste. This is human waste. The list went on and on. I'm not going to tell you what's in this pile because lunch is only an hour away. So again, there's a lot of concerns in these homes that you just simply, you have to look beyond the shock and awe. You have to look beyond the photo. You really have to watch your step when you're in these homes. Do not enter if there is a structural or caving situation. It is not what you can see in the pile. It's underneath it that is usually dangerous to you and dangerous to the homeowner. We are required, not only by the IICRC, the industry that governs restoration companies, but also OSHA. We are required when we go into a hoarder home to be wearing PPE. We are always in Tyvek suits or a biosuit, a thicker biosuit, depending on the type of situations in the home. We have to wear needle stick resistant gloves. You can get them at any Lowe's or Home Depot or hardware store in your community. We have to have booties over the shoes. Again, the coveralls, the Tyvek suits, and a minimum N95 mask. We are usually in half face or full face respirators. That is the standard for us to be allowed into these homes to clean them up. So again, you go through a lot of PPE. If you're going into the home, even if you're just wearing a mask and gloves at a minimum, and the little booties around your shoes, there's things you can say so that it's not invasive to them. If they say, well, how come you're wearing a mask? I'm not sick. Well, you know what? I am. I've had horrible allergies. And, I just came from a home that had a lot of dust. So I'm coughing and I don't want to get you sick. So I'm going to wear a mask here today. I'm doing it because I want to keep you healthy. Why do you have booties on the feet? Well, you know what? I was just at a home and I walked through a lot of mud. I don't want to get that into your home. So I'm doing it to be respectful of all these wonderful things that you have in your home. Why are you wearing a Tyvek suit? Well, you know what? Again, I just got dirt and dust all over my clothes and I don't want to bring that into your home. So I'm going to wear this suit. So I'm making sure I'm keeping you safe. Again, You're deflecting it of why I'm here to help you. You're not causing blame of, hey, I hear I'm wearing the suit because everything in your house is messy and horrible and gross. So again, you have to build trust and rapport. And again, you're there to move things forward, but you always have to be cautious when you're in these homes. There are, in addition to the structural concerns and the floors and the walls, again, that can be eaten away, you're going to have fire hazards. You are going to have shock hazards. You always have some wire issues, electrical concerns in these homes, gas leaks, lead and asbestos, microbial contamination, the mold growth, the harmful bacteria and viruses as well. You will have confined spaces to deal with. Again, why this is unsafe. Contaminated water, if they have access to water at all. Stored chemicals that are usually spilled and among the piles. You're going to have household chemicals. You're going to have chemical waste. Other items too, like the cigarettes, the diabetic needles I mentioned. When you take off the PPE, you take it off inside out. So you are not touching the outside that is contaminated by being in that home, and you throw it away in their trash or their neighbor's trash. You throw it away right there. There's no washing the PPE. It is one and done. This is severely contaminated. It might not look it, but it is. Other tips for interacting, again, always be understanding, be patient, be honest and straightforward with them. Don't be judgmental. Don't behave in a threatening or aggressive manner. The rule is you treat them like they're your parents or your grandparents. Also, when you're being honest and straightforward with them, you have to set the stage for what comes next. And you have to make sure that you live up to those dates and times. If you say, look, this was our first meeting, we are going to have another one. I'm going to have someone with me next week that has to come with me. It's a building inspector from our town. He wants to make sure that you're okay in your home. Everything is safe for you. And we're going to be here next Friday at 9 a.m. And we look forward to meeting with you then. You better be in her driveway at 8:55, because if you are there and late by 5 or 10 minutes, your appointment's done. The wall goes back up and you're not going to get through it again. And now it's going to be threats back and forth, which is not going to help them and not going to help you move forward in any way. So again, you need to set the stage, whatever that stage is for the next step, a time, a date. Here's what's going to happen when we arrive. Give them that interaction and that understanding. And again, you need to make sure that that date and time is in concrete. Some other communication, how you get in the house. You're going to knock on the door. You take 3 steps back, give them that safe space, and you are going to small talk. Beautiful deck, beautiful flower garden. Do you love to garden? Whatever it is, the weather, the sports, you name it. But you're going to small talk to build that rapport up. And then once you've done that, you've got to be invited in. If you're noticing your conversation's gone on for 15 or 20 minutes and the clock is running, then you can say, you know what? It was so wonderful chatting with you and getting better to know you here today. So can I come inside? Is that okay? You're going to ask permission. That builds trust. So again, once you have permission to come inside, things that are helpful to say is, again, oh my God, I can't believe it's this bad. You're not going to be saying those things. It's going to be, this isn't that bad. I've seen worse, but I wouldn't want my parents living it that way if they're that age. If it's your age, I wouldn't want my sister or my brother living it, this way. If it's someone younger than you, I wouldn't want my kids living this way. So, the other thing that is very helpful to say, again, you're not assessing blame by saying that. You're on their side, you're building trust, but you're letting them know at the same time that something has to happen here. This isn't okay. So again, the 2 words, it's okay. You have to keep reminding them it's not okay. So the other thing that we will say, again, it breaks the ice. It builds that trust. It lets them know that they can trust us. We're on their side. I see things have gotten away from you. Because again, who doesn't need to come home and do a little extra cleaning, right? So you're not assessing blame, but you're letting them know it's not okay and that they need help. And usually at that point, when you say, I see things have gotten away from you, they will admit that they need help. That's always a great way to start to build that conversation and go down that path. Walking through the house, you want to point out things. This is a beautiful photo of the wall. Tell me about this. This is a beautiful lamp. Where did you get this? How long have you had this beautiful antique piece here? Again, point out things in the home because they see beauty in all of it. If you want to build trust with them, that's what you have to do. You have to see beauty in it too. So you have to walk throughout the house with them as you're inspecting or doing whatever you're doing in the home with them. And you want to build that trust and that rapport. So you've got to build that trust. Keep repeating it over and over again to build that trust. When you're leaving the home, again, You need to set the stage for what comes next. We're going to be back. We have an appointment scheduled again at this date. I'm going to be here. It's not going to be me. It's going to be my colleague, whatever it is. Set the stage of what is coming next, because threats don't work. Ultimatums don't work. The brick wall goes up and you will fight over and over again to get through it again. You have to build trust and rapport. That's how you move things along. And when you are trying to get items cleaned up, the best thing again to do is tap into their philanthropic spirit. Say, you know what, the holidays are coming and I see you have all these amazing items here. XYZ, organization in our town would love to have some of these items for the people that they serve. They could really use them right now. If I bring you 2 boxes when I come for our next appointment, would you fill them up? And can I donate that to that charity for you? We do that all the time with our clients. That's how we start the process going before we come in to do more deep cleaning. We have to get them used to stuff starting to go and them being okay with it. And usually these are items that are not recyclable. These are items that I cannot bring to the Johnny Cake Center or whatever charity, or Salvation Army, or Access of Hope. Unfortunately, they have to be thrown away, but I'm never going to tell the homeowner that. And what I am going to do is make sure that that charity sends a thank you letter to them, thanking them for that beautiful donation. Any charity is willing to do that. Believe me when I tell you, I have it done all the time. So now they have additional good feelings from giving things away. So versus just having things come in. And that's how you start them down that path to getting help and being able to attack cleaning up. So just some final thoughts. Again, this is a psychological disorder. It is affecting tens of millions of Americans because of COVID. It is only growing and becoming worse in our communities right now. The profile, the scale, the types, it's going to vary with every hoarder that you deal with. You have to be patient, compassionate, no judgment, compassion always. Treat them as though your parents, your grandparents. Be cautious when entering the home. Again, wear the PPE. You're going to discard it right there. It's one and done. And look for signs of structural damage and these other spills and concerns. Make sure you've got the proper PPE on to be safe from all of that. There's a lot of resources out there. I know you know that the state site, there's many, many more. And we also have many more on our website as well. So I really appreciate everybody's time here today. I know the clock is starting to wind down. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has. If anyone has put anything in the chat, or you want to put a question in the chat, or you want to unmute yourself and just ask me.
Yeah, let's open it up. If any communities have specific questions about things that are current or they've seen in their communities, happy to entertain those here while we have a wonderful expert.
We have certainly seen it all. We've seen animal hoarders that we've been able to help trap 60 or 80 live animals on that had ×2 dead ones in the home, including them stacked in the freezer from floor to ceiling. We have seen, again, food hoarders. We have seen, you name it, we've seen it and work with it. We've seen Depression era hoarders that literally had over $10,000 worth of cash strewn throughout the piles in their home. So again, we can't just shovel and throw stuff away. There's the misconception that you can. There's family documents. There's important items in the home. So when we're doing the cleanup, the biggest thing we deal with is their family as well, because usually the family is more concerned with some of the financial items being found. The homeowner, the hoarder, wants some items that also are important to them, that have emotional value to them. So again, we have to make sure everybody is involved in the cleanup. We can't just go in and just do junk removal. That's not what it is. This is a person's life, and it's just on display. So thank you, Karen, saying the presentation was good and helpful. I hope that I was able to give a lot of good information today. So any other questions that you have, I'm happy to answer them.
Right.
Or you can always reach out to me. Just reach out to me at servicemasterbymason.com. My phone number is listed here, 322-3030. Always happy to answer any questions that you have.
Well, we certainly appreciate it, Beth, and everyone can see you again at our convention coming up, right? Well, that'll be in March. But yeah, I definitely encourage folks to ask questions and give Beth a call. So we thank you. That was such an informative presentation, and yeah, the mental health piece is key. So I'm glad that society is starting to realize that. So on behalf of the league, thank you for your presentation and hope you have a great day. Thanks everyone for
Thank you for
coming.
your time today, everyone. Thank you.